Welcome to your Healing Place podcast with Linda and Mindy. It is our desire to address common concerns of how abortion and faith intersect in order to validate the emotional pain and grief that abortion can bring and give hope that recovery is possible. I want to talk about the names of God for a little bit and just encourage you to learn more about this. And here's how I'm going to do this. I began earlier in my Christian walk, I began to, when I first got saved, I was given a book written by Kay Arthur entitled The Names of God. I believe it might have a little bit different name, or To Know Him by Name is the name of that book. It's been around for, a couple decades now. Great book. And it was just helping me to kind of understand these names. And I didn't grasp the concept that God had many names. I had one name, but in actuality, had I stopped and thought about it, I had some nicknames. I had my first name is actually, that I go by every day, is actually my nickname, not my birth name. And so I never really thought about it, but God has many names and he reveals them. We don't necessarily know them until he reveals his character to us. And then some people in the Bible gave him a name based on that character. When he met Hagar after she was pregnant and she ran away, and she was upset and because she'd been treated harshly and just some bad situations going on there in Genesis. And God came and spoke to her and said, "You need to go back, and this is what your son's name will be." And she called him El Roy, the God who sees. And because she felt seen, she was heard. Actually, her son's name Ishmael means God hears. And so other times he reveals himself in scripture as his name. And it's just beautiful because he has a ton of names. It's just kind of based on his character and who he is. And I would encourage you to know God by name. I mean, you can get that book if you want. I'm not really advocating for the book so much as the book, the Bible. Get in there and start reading and start looking up his, getting to know God by name. So what I did early in, after I'd read that book by Kay Arthur and was reading my Bible, and I just felt like I wanted to know God. I wanted to know Jehovah Rapha, the Lord my healer. I'll tell you right now, looking back, I had no clue what I was asking because I had no idea how much healing I needed. I had no understanding how broken I really was. I was completely clouded in, I don't know, denial. I don't know what you'd call it. But I asked God, reveal yourself to me as Jehovah Rapha. And he did. And I, to this day now, I cannot remember how, but I knew he was my healer. Now, he's also revealed himself to me that way over the years as I've really started to see my need for a healer. My heart was shattered, broken, splintered, in all practical purposes, irreparable. And yet, he's a restorer. He's a healer. He puts things back together. He makes things new. He actually gave me a new heart. He makes us whole again. And then later I asked him, I wanted to know him as Jehovah Shammah. And this is a really long story I don't want to get into, but he revealed himself in such a sweet way because what that means is the Lord is there. Do you feel alone today? Because the Lord is there. It says in his word, he'll never leave you nor forsake you. Ask God to show you who he is as Jehovah Shammah. But look up a list of his names. You can find them all over the internet. And then ask him, Lord, reveal yourself to me as the Lord my provider, Jehovah Jireh. Or as Jehovah. Or as the Father. Or as Adonai. And he will. And start to look. Stay in Scripture. Don't look at this world for God to reveal himself to you, because he reveals himself through his word. And then he will use circumstances to affirm that. So get to know God by name. And you'll be able to stand on that for the rest of your life. Assurance of faith, assurance and confidence in who He is. Because He'll never leave you nor forsake you. And He never grows tired and never grows weary. Who is like the Lord my God? Thank you for listening. This podcast was inspired by the many conversations had through the years with women struggling from the emotional pain associated with abortion. Thank you for allowing us into your healing journey. Subscribe on major platforms where podcasts can be heard. Learn more about virtual abortion recovery healing at www.anevenplace.com. The link is in the show notes.